Hey, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. It is that time again. You guys have to forgive me. I don't know what my dog is doing today, but she wants to be vocally a part of everything that's going on. So give me just 1 second to go ahead and let everyone come in the room. And we are going to get this thing started right away tonight, just because I really want to make, make sure, sorry, of my Instagram folks, you guys should be able to see and join and participate with me at the time or hear me on IG Live. Hello to your girl. Let me know who's night. Let me know who's going to be engaging with me. And let's just, make it a good night like we always do. Are up next. This is why I need an assistant. If there's anyone who would like to be my assistant, to be help me do this so I don't have to. I am now accepting applications. Thank you in advance. Give me just 1 second. Facebook is acting slow. I do hope each and every who have had a good week, good month and a half. So in 2025, if your 2025 is not started, much like the rest of your life. But that's another conversation. I am almost done Facebook. Let's Okay, and we should finally be good to go. So if you are coming and joining me tonight, if you are joining me from Facebook, say hello from the Facebook world. If you are coming and joining me on IG, hello, welcome, good evening. We're about to get this thing started off right. And for my people on YouTube, hey, y'all is where I started. And I appreciate everyone who's still rocking with me up until this point. So welcome to another fantabulous episode of Sit Down with yours truly, Nicole LaTreece. This is an environment and a space that is solely dedicated to personal development, self improvement, and fostering our ability to grow within the relationship that we have, right? So whether it's your relationship with your parents, your relationship with your brother, sister, aunt, cousin, kid, significant other, situationship, your maybe some of y'all your ex, I don't know. Whatever relationship that you are engaging in, make it the best engagement that you can ever have. Like let's just put it out there like that. Like some of the way people go about things in the world is just I don't understand it. But guess what? In my world, it's time to transform. It's time to commit to a better way of living. And that's what I'm on. And some of my people around me are on that too. And so what happens in that commitment, what happens in that space is as you continue to grow, as you continue to elevate, there are things that are naturally by design going to fall away from you. There are things naturally by design that no longer serve you because of where you're growing into, right? But the one thing that people don't understand is kind of the hardest. is exactly what it says down at the bottom of the screen. Not going back to the broken places, spaces, or people that we once left. Now, I have to put this disclaimer out here because this is not what the original topic of tonight was supposed to be. Tonight was supposed to be dating after divorce with my very special co-host, Miss Nicole LaTreece. Nicole LaTreece, that's me. With my very special guest, Miss Shantae Nicole. But due to unforeseen events, we are going to have to postpone that conversation, specifically the dating after divorce, until things kind of come back to where they need to be. Shantae, you and your family are in my prayers, and we're going to keep this thing going. So tonight I decided to switch it up. And like I said, we're going to talk about, because Valentine's Day was literally just, what's today, Sunday? 2 days ago, based on having this conversation. There were a lot of people who probably participated in going back to what they had gotten out of for whatever reason. I don't judge anybody. I just bring it to the forefront. And if you qualify for it, you qualify for it. That's on you. I may or may not know your situation, but if I do know your situation, I am not specifically talking about anyone specific. Yes, I said specific twice. That was on purpose. But for those who decided to go back to something that either was not 100% what was in alignment for them, those who decided to go back to something that really wasn't in their benefit, those that decided to go back to someone, someplace, or something that denied them before. To those of you who decided, I just don't want to be lonely, I'm willing to like take whatever for this day. This video is for you. This conversation is for you. Like, what the Bible verse comes into my mind. What does it benefit a man to gain the entire world and to lose his soul? To me, given what I've gone through and what I've experienced, me going back to anything that I was able to successfully navigate away from, right? Because if I'm here and if those things are no longer in my life, if those things are no longer a part of my experience or my journey, I've successfully navigated away from those things. And I'm going to take my win by all means. No matter what it took to get to this point, no matter what I had to endure, I wanted to come and have this conversation because I've been exactly where you guys are. If you are the person that I spoke of who is recently, whether it's because of Valentine's Day, whether it's because you just didn't want to be lonely, whether it's because you had time to think and you're like, oh, well, what he or she did isn't that bad. If it's bad, period, it's bad, period. It doesn't take different or varying degrees of how bad it is for something to be bad enough for you to leave it alone, for you to be able to walk away, for you to not go back to that broken place, that broken space, or that broken person, right? If you don't have the level of self-love that you need for yourself, and this is my post, that I kind of put up, like if you don't love yourself enough to stay away from something or someone that tried to break you, something or someone that tried to, well, some of them don't try, it just happens, something that was draining you, you don't love yourself enough to stay away from what is out of alignment with you so that way you can always stay in right and proper alignment either with your path that you're supposed to be on or with your path that you're supposed to be on depending what you believe in and who you serve. It tried to break you for a reason, right? Cuz maybe you weren't supposed to be in that space to begin with. And for some of us, we get into certain spaces because of there's a level of familiarity that we operate in. Like familiarity is a pull. Whenever you are elevating beyond something, whenever you are navigating into a new space or a new direction, Depending on how long you engaged in the previous behavior or the previous conversations or the previous like preferences, whatever was before, the longer you entertain those things, when you decide that those things no longer serve you and you want to move forward beyond them, there's a pull that's going to try to pull you back. And that pull for a lot of us, it's a pull of something that was unhealthy for us in the first place. Like I said, it tried to for a reason. Do I need to say it any clearer? It tried to drown you for a reason. It tried to overtake you for a reason. It tried to deny your access or your presence to be where it was meant to be for a reason. It tried to kill you for a reason, right? Because I'm the type of person like I call a spade a spade. I gotta talk about it all so that way, in my efforts, I can try to get someone to break the cycle, which I'm gonna talk about in a minute, of these concessions and these passes that people keep giving. Even a part of that is what you're familiar with. Oh well, he didn't lie, but he didn't tell me all the information either. But because you're familiar to a certain degree with people not confiding in you, because you're familiar with this delusion of like, I don't need to know, where my significant other is at all times. I may not, y'all may feel like y'all don't need to know, but for me, it's a requirement. And I'm not saying I got to know, micromanaging every single step of his move every day. But through the discernment and the wisdom that I've been able to grow within myself based on the experiences that I've had, that doesn't work for me. That's out of alignment with me because if I ask you and you don't tell me, then that puts me in a space of doubt, that puts me in a space of uncertainty, that puts me in a space that's unfamiliar to me because that's not what I'm accustomed to. Mm, okay. That's a flag on the play. Because now you're getting into a space where your psychological capabilities are being tried and tested when you go back to the broken places, the broken spaces, and the broken people that you feel that you're familiar with, that you feel like you are capable and able to manage. Do you wanna spend a life of familiarity where all you're doing is just managing amongst chaos? Sometimes it might be chaos that doesn't even belong to you. Sometimes it might be chaos that you don't know how far, you don't know the depths, you don't know the reaches, you don't know the severity of somebody else's level of familiarity. And you can get yourself involved in some mess that it would literally take you sometimes a lifetime to be able to get your psychological capabilities back. Sometimes operating in the space of the pool of what's familiar to you is going to cost you regardless. You're going to pay either way. You either going to pay with your finances, you either going to pay with mental anguish and stress, you either going to pay with having to get a therapist, you either going to have to pay with relocating, you going to have to pay with changing who you are in the sight of God. But psychologically, if you're the type of person who just wants to deal with a space of what's familiar, I would challenge you to dig deeper and see why you have a repeated pattern of, well, I've seen this before, but I'm okay with it because now I know how to manage it because I've endured it before. Could it be because of fear of change? Could it be because there is a level of as you continue to elevate when you're moving beyond the broken spaces, broken places, and broken people, that there is a level of isolation, a level of separation, a level of seclusion that you're going to have to endure. And maybe you're fearful because you really don't know what's in that midst, what's in the wilderness of having to sit on your own with your own devices in the middle of your own mess. Maybe you're like me. Maybe you deal with what's familiar because there's a level of unresolved, unhealthy emotional attachments that you didn't know that you were experiencing. Y'all know me. I don't have a problem sharing my story and telling my business to a certain degree because it is my hope that in me revealing myself, revealing my truths, and saying what it is that I'm actually experiencing as a spiritual being going through this human experience at almost 41 years old in my life. I had abandonment issues. For the longest time, I didn't know that I had those abandonment issues. At 40, working with my last therapist, I was able to like really get to the real root of it, the real root of the poison that was affecting my tree. Like in my marriage, I was able to identify the word, but I wasn't able to determine where it originated from. Now I know. I have videos where I've shared that information, and maybe I'll just, one day sit down. I kind of did it last night with one of my really good friends, but I just said what was on my mind. Not haphazardly, not, just to be talking. I allowed myself to go into the place of recounting what was familiar to me because in that recount, I figured out why I've engaged in certain patterns, why I was looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many faces because I wasn't working through my issue, my challenge. Now I have. But in me working through my own challenge, it takes me to my next point. It allowed me to be able to identify those broken places, those broken spaces, and the broken people that I've encountered and navigated through in my almost 41 years of life, especially in my adult life, right? Like at 36, I really started paying attention to life. That's when the shift for me really happened. And I'll share things here and there throughout this conversation tonight that will be able to just kind of give perspective on the points that I'm talking about. But I'm not going to get too much into just really the nitty gritty of my own story because next week is a very special episode to me. It is the episode that falls on my birthday. And it is about birthday reflections, birthday revelations, and just about my journey of growth and elevation. So I want to be able to, like I said, just sit on the couch with y'all and just have a really good conversation. But if I didn't take the time to do the work, if I didn't take the time to look at what I didn't like or look at what wasn't working for me, I would never been able to identify the broken things and the manner in which I was broken myself. So some people may be asking, well, Nicole LaTreece, what constitutes like broken? I'm glad you asked. A broken place is an environment where we choose to stay knowing that that environment is not conducive to promoting a good level of growth for what it is that we need in the next chapter or in the next season of our lives. Broken spaces are the mental aspects, mental, emotional, and physical aspects that we allow ourselves to go through that don't get us really where we need to be. And it sucks because it's a part of what our natural processes have to be. Whenever something happens to us, there is a broken space that we have to identify and to be able to navigate through. Go back and watch the conversation that I had about take the weight off. Broken spaces are necessary in order to facilitate repair, but staying in those broken spaces is what will um, put your very being, your very way of life in jeopardy the longer you stay in a broken space. The more all you see is just a broken space, and you start to believe that you are a broken space instead of I'm currently in a broken space and I need to figure out how to get out of it. And y'all already know what broken people is. Like, come on. We done lived this life. If you are my age and if you have been interacting and dealing with people up until this point, you know exactly what it is. Broken people are those people who have no interest in a real level of growth. They have no real interest in your own personal well being. Broken people are those people who are selfish, the people who lie, the people who are not 100 about how they want to maneuver in life because society says that certain aspects should be socially acceptable. Don't care what society says. Like, I'm here to buck the system. That's just naturally who I am. That's how I get down. But all around you, if you look, if you choose to pay attention, the signs are there. You will be able to see when you are in a detrimental or broken environment. Remember, that's the places. And we have like big visual representations, like if a house is on fire and you in that house, like you can tell that you're in a detrimental situation in that environment. But we don't take that same view of an outward, external structure and our position in it and internalize that. So for some of y'all, y'all houses is on fire because y'all keep going back to these broken places, spaces, and people. I don't know how else to say it. The biggest thing that we as a society we struggle with is broken relationships. There is not a place that you cannot look for some sort of representation of what a broken relationship looks like. And for some people that's what they accept. Well, if my parents' relationship was broken, then I should expect to have a broken relationship too. Well, if my best friend's husband drinks all the time, and, him and my husband, they hang out together, then I should expect that he'll do the same thing. Well, my husband don't drink a whole lot, like, he just has a couple glasses of whatever every night before he goes to bed. What in your situation are you able to identify is broken at the very basic? You should be able to do, in my opinion, one of two things. If you're really willing to sit down and sit with yourself and see where you are within your life at this point, right? Versus where it is that you want to go. You should be able to identify what about yourself may be broken. If you started to realize and understand, like, dang, I don't know why, I keep attracting these foolish people. Well, are you currently being foolish? Maybe there's a broken space within you. Some piston is not firing properly like it needs to in the engine that is your life. Broken places, that could be, something so simple as being at your job. And all your job does is just complain. All the people at your job do is just talk about each other. No one uplifts, no one supports. Like, that's a broken place. Broken people, if there is anyone in your life that is literally draining you, if there's anyone in your life that is not producing life in you or even life in themselves, because that's a whole other conversation that I got to have. That's a broken person. And it could be something so simple as I told y'all before of the situation that I experienced recently where, it was a guy, I found him attractive. I had provided him my number because the environments in which we interacted was not one where we would. Now y'all hear this. Somebody is literally knocking at my door, and I have no idea who it is. I'm not expecting any company. Nobody has texted me to say that they are coming over. And anybody who knows me knows that between 7 and 8 o'clock, I'm unavailable. This is the second time within a week or two that someone literally has come to knock on my door, and I don't know who it is. We're gonna keep it pushing forward. Maybe that's a broken person down there that this conversation they need to hear. If so, find me on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Like, no. But yeah. So I slid him my number. Y'all, what should I do? Should I say who is it? Or should I just leave it be? Like, for real, this is crazy. Somebody's knocking on my door twice. Crazy, but they are not announcing themselves. If you don't announce yourself, I am not going to that door whatsoever. Like, I wouldn't go to the door anyways, but they're ruining my flow. Essentially, that's what I'm trying to say. Um, so yeah, slid on my number because the environment in which Ella slid him my number because the environment in which we were interacting with one another, we wouldn't be able to talk beyond just the hey, hi, how are you doing? And so he waited a couple days before he reached out to me, which I was perfectly fine with. I didn't have no problems, no nothing, you know. I had no expectations when I gave the number in the first place because that's where I'm at. We communicate for just a little bit and then the communication dwindled within a matter of like a week's time. So it's just like, okay, this ain't something ain't right. My spidey sense is tingling. I consulted because that's what we should be doing. I consulted a very good friend of mine, male, to figure out how should I go about this. I heard what he had to say, took his advice. I sat on it for a day. Beyond that, he, the gentleman, never called, never reached out. Okay, I'm recognizing that there is something that's not right about this place and possibly this person. I'm not going to sit in this place with this person and do this like this. So I sent a very friendly text message. Hey, I gave you my number because I found you attractive. That's not something that I normally do. I currently feel that you are not interested in exploring new connections or communication with other people. If so, that's fine. I understand. Then he comes back and says, yeah, I'm just out of a relationship myself and I'm focusing on me. Okay, cool. I told you, you didn't have to explain it to me. I had already said that I understood. But what I recognized was that is behavior that I'm not willing to engage in. I had to identify that is a broken place. Before it was confirmed to me, I felt it was a broken place. I'm not going to be in that place. I don't have to. If anybody watching this wants to know what my number one love language is, communication. We are all supposed to be grown. If I'm not your cup of tea, cool, say it so I can stop pouring out this black girl magic and trying to change your life. I'm okay. But there are some people who are unable to identify the toxicity that operates and runs in their lives. The very people who would continue to drink up this black girl magic, this black girl potion to help to try to fill the broken place, space, or person that they actually are. I'm not here to do that for you. You fix your own toxicity. The first thing you can do is call it to the carpet. It's just like what is it, AA or Narcotics Anonymous. The first step is admitting it. That's half the battle. But we as who we are, we as the individuals that we've been called to be, we as the ones who want to live our lives in a good and genuine way, we have to identify those broken places, spaces, and people that operate around us. My next point is like, what is it costing you to return to that unhealthy dynamic? For some of y'all, that's a legitimate question that I'm asking you right now. What is it costing you to return to that unhealthy dynamic? And if you don't know, I will be the one in love to tell you that's a whole problem. Because if you don't know what it's costing you, look at what it already cost you, right? So, my other situations, like, I don't care. I don't use names. I don't use too many facts. If you know, you know. If you don't, hey, you'll never know exactly what is spoken about. But in a previous experience, it's like when you're trying to get out of something, like I said at the very beginning of this conversation, there is a pull that is naturally going to try to yank you back. It is like a rubber band, it is like a string, it is like a tether, right? So, whatever you pull yourself away from, if it's not severed, it finds a way to pull you back, right? So, what would it cost me to try to return to the unhealthy dynamic that I got away from? And I'm talking about the 2-year dynamic that I got away from. My whole nervous system, my whole life to a certain extent, my outlook, my vision, my joy, my happiness, my enjoyment with being a mom. Like my daughter is 10 going on 11 and now she's at that age where like she actually wants to talk to me and she's engaging with me and she's telling me all these things about her life. Sorry y'all. Whoever somebody's calling me. I'm not available right now, 7 to 9. I don't even know if I want to call the number back, but we'll figure that out later. Um But she's at a point where she wants to engage with me, but that because I was so enveloped in that situation, it detracted, it deterred, it distorted my vision for the goodness that God has placed in my life. Because I done been through some real ish, y'all. In a matter of the last 4 years, like some significant trials and tribulations. And I've been able to turn the majority of them into a triumph. And I let the Lord deal with everything else. But once I was able to initially maneuver out of that situation, no contact, I'm moving forward in life. I got peace. Like everything is good. 40 days later, that situation comes calling because I didn't stand firm on my standards, I didn't stand all the way on the faith that I needed to have to remove said individual from my life because of what had already been done. Okay, cool. Been 40 days. You ain't heard from me. I ain't heard from you. What's up? What is it that you want? You come hitting me up about some foolishness, but I'm engaging in that broken space. The place is no longer available because, like I said, there's no physical in-person contact, meaning I'm not seeing you, you not seeing me. Like, but because I chose to re-engage in conversation, I was put right back with what right back into what I had gotten out of. All right. I'm seeing what's up. And the Lord is like, okay, you didn't trust me with my ability to let you out of that space in the first place. Now I'm really going to have to show you what it is that I tried to spare you from, what I tried to prevent from breaking you even further. But since you want to return to it, you got to deal with these consequences. There was more additional information that had came out that honestly I was able to take on the chin because I had already processed and maneuvered to where I was within my safe space for me. So now the information that was given to me, it was just more confirmation and more confirmation. But even in the midst of that confirmation, everything that was told to me showed me how big the mess actually was. Because I'm thinking it's like this little, right? Because I just don't know. The Lord is like, no, this goes, it's like an ocean. This goes out beyond farther than what you can see. I need you to stop operating in even the residual of this broken space. And I need you to stop fooling with this broken person. But the good person in me is like, but Lord, like I've seen little glimpses and I've seen these things, and you're a God who can do the impossible. Like, who am I to think that you can't do that for this individual? That individual ain't asking for it from the Lord, right? So it's just like once I came to that understanding, like really, I had to just let it go. I had to surrender. I said my last prayer, whatever I needed to say, and I moved forward. Chilling, not talking, too much about the situation, but I need to talk because I need to get it out my system. I need to process. End up running into the individual about almost a month ago now. Like, hey, cool. Like, no, I done got information about this, that, and the third. Like, it's good. But I had prepared myself mentally for a time in the future to be prepared to be like, "Mm-mm, nah, I don't know you. Like, we ain't got nothing to say." But the Lord was like, "You're still operating in that broken space because you're trying to predict your low key individual to be able to say whatever it is you felt you didn't get to say. I don't need you to do any of that. I don't need you to say anything. Everything that you have prayed for out of your mouth, in your heart, and in your mind, I heard it all. Like, this is how I receive my relationship with God. I heard it all, baby girl. And in everything, I'm still protecting you. I'm still guiding you. I'm still not willing to let this thing, this situation, this broken space and broken person take you over. But now you're the one that's doing it to yourself. I get it. That was the reason I ran all that down. I get it. I know how hard it is. Even if you can get away physically, the mental connections, the spiritual connections, the familiarity of the physical connections. It depending on who you are and how you operate, it sometimes takes those things longer to be able to actually subside, like the ocean. But you have to understand the level and the degree of the impact that continuing to engage in those decisions, the level and the impact of continuing to engage in those choices, where is that actually taking you? What is that actually costing you? What is that actually physically doing to your body? Derek, like, nah, Ella, she good. Like I said, somebody was knocking on my door. And this is the second time within what, maybe a matter of 2 or 3 weeks that somebody has knocked on my door randomly. I ain't wanna speak stuff into existence, but it's just like, hey, that black girl magic that I possess, that energy, if somebody's willing to randomly pop up over my house, I can't be held liable for the consequences. And then if you don't announce yourself, no, that's creepy. That's suspect. But whoever it is, like the last time, Lord, if it's meant to be revealed, you will show me who that individual was. And if it's not, hey, let them go on about their life and be blessed. That's how I operate. But what is it costing you to continue to go back and forth from healthy to unhealthy? I can tell you one thing it's costing you. It's costing you your true healing. Because, like, if you're like me and you were able to navigate beyond a situation that was breaking you, maybe more than how broken you realized you were, because if you weren't broken, you would have never engaged in that broken environment. Like I said, I call a spade a spade. I knew where I kind of was as far as why that situation was able to come on my radar or come into my orbit because I am a planet in the first place. No more, because now I'm in a space where it's time to break this cycle. Like I cannot describe it. I am so excited because it was a cycle. Even though it was the same individual, we got into a cycle of, oh, you want to take me off the shelf now? Now you want to put me back up. You want to take me off the shelf now? Now you want to talk to other people and do other stuff. And then you want to try to pick me back up. Say, bruh, no, I'm not doing this cycle with you. Because if I'm willing to engage in that cycle in one season, the residual of how long it takes for that stuff to fall away and completely go away, I'm not willing to play with that. One of the I hate speaking generally, like, because I don't feel like it encompasses, like, everything that everyone is probably going through. But there are a couple practical steps, and the first one is just understanding. Understanding where you are and where it is that you wanna be, understanding what that person, place, or space did in your life, what it actually costs you. The uncertainty of knowing what it's going to look like the next time. I'm not a gambling person, but I had my momentary lapse of judgment where I was willing to play Russian roulette. That's the degree to where I look at it. I don't know how detrimental it's going to be. Now I do, because like I said, the Lord is still revealing certain degrees of information to me where it's just like, no, because I know what I know now, and because that individual thinks that I am unaware or have been unaware this entire time, that bridge is burnt. There is no going back. There is no crossing paths again. There is no saying anything because I don't want someone else's view of the outward expression of our engagement to be added into the level of mess and foolishness that I now know is going on in that individual's life. I don't even think that individual knows, but hey, that's not for me to say. And I've had my moments of being a good person where it's just like, dang, I know this may affect this person's life. And I don't want, I genuinely don't want people's lives to be affected in a certain way. But there's a song that one of my favorite artists, Samo, sings, and it says, "I want to love you, my God. No, I want to save you, sorry, but I'm not God." I want to heal you, but that's not my job. I want to pick you up off of the ground and lift you high. I want to save you, but I'm not God. One of the most practical ways that you can break the cycle of not going back to the broken places, spaces, or people is to understand that in life, in our own lives, and in the lives that we do with other people, we all have choices. If what you decide to do with the ability of your choices is out of alignment with me, I have a decision to make on the other side of your choice. And if I have stakes that don't hit for you the same way that they hit for me, I'm not willing to play with myself and I'm not willing to play with my stakes either, right? Another like strategy for breaking the cycle of going back and forth between that which tried to break you to the restoration that you're trying to put in your life now, set some dang boundaries and practice self discipline. I heard it said your boundaries are for you to get used to, not necessarily other people. And that hit for me because I'm someone who never lived a life of really setting boundaries. I knew what I didn't like based on my experiences, but now it's just like, yeah, no. Communication and lack thereof is a non negotiable for me. If you can't communicate, we don't have nothing to talk about. That's just facts. Now, if we talking about Gary Chapman's 5 love languages, my number 1 love language is acts of service, but my acts of service ain't like everybody else's. It's how you show up for me. How will you conversate with me? How will you be there for me? How will you support me? Those are all now boundaries that I have in place and I'm cool with it. For some of y'all, it just needs to simply be no. I had been preaching this to one of my good girlfriends, probably like for the past month, maybe a little bit over. And I simply say, if it's not a yes, it's a no. But because I was trying to assist her with forming that mindset, I wasn't paying attention to the fact that I needed to be forming the very same mindset. And then the last time I said it to her, it hit. It went in how it needed to. Because I know my nose. But the kind heart that I have within myself is one that wants to say yes more than no. But there's love in saying no. I have to be mindful in saying no. And sometimes my mindfulness needs to be in the space of not necessarily that I'm losing a certain person. It needs to be no because I've already lost so much of myself in that person. That's not where I'm at anymore. That's not what I'm trying to do. That's not what I'm willing to allow, right? So there are all kinds of ways, there are all kinds of strategies, tips. That may be what I post for the rest of the week. Just strategies on breaking the cycle of not going back to the broken places, spaces, or people. The next thing in order to not go back is you have to create a better and healthier environment that you want to be in. Like if you know what it felt like to miss that, if you know what it felt like to be broken in that moment or in that space, what's the opposite of how you were either broken or how somebody tried to break you? I was denied. Like, flat out said, no, like, mm-mm, this ain't what we doing. I'm not telling nobody. Um, Imma tell other people other things other than what it actually is, and it's just like, "Okay." Like, that tells me I need to guard my energy. I need to guard my words. I need to guard my mind because my mind, it's an amazing thing. Not everybody understands it, but it's like a moth drawn to the flame because of the fact that they don't feel like they can understand it. They're still engaged and intrigued by it. I like to be in my mind. I like most times how my mind operates, how it processes things, how I look at things. Like, because in my mind, my capability to create so many things that are beautiful. And it doesn't necessarily have to be rooted in someone else. Some things in life are just beautiful just because. A lot of things that we use in life now were created because someone allowed themselves to, in the midst of adversity, reposition themselves to a positive space. I'm in this challenge right where I literally like wake up at 5:30 every day. And I wake up at 5:30 because the challenge starts at 6. And one of the first things that was discussed on day 1 was do it on purpose. Don't just wake up and turn on the TV or get on your computer and like you're still in the bed, like you haven't washed your face, you haven't, enjoyed a cup of coffee or tea. Like, make it intentional. And I do it and I send out the the stream to a very special person in my life because I want them to do it as well so that they can go forward and not go back to the broken places, spaces, or people that tried to break them for a reason. Healthy environments can come in community too. You got to know like your community. And for me, as someone who was, a person who previously experienced abandonment issues or someone who, like I said, looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many faces, like community is what I seek, right? But before it was, I'm not going to say any type of community. It was more so reconnecting with the community that I felt that I had before I left Tulsa. So I'm born and raised here, 18 years. When I graduated high school, I left and moved to Houston. I spent 18 years in Houston before I came back to Tulsa. I promise it ain't gonna be another 18 years and I'm moving somewhere else. Like, no, we not doing none of that. Here it's home. But that doesn't mean that uh my looking for community has changed. The quality of the community that I'm looking for has, it has not served me up until this point to a certain degree to get back into the space of mixing and mingling with people new in one season of my life just because we're different people. We have different preferences, we have different lifestyles. Like, I accept that. No muss, no fuss. But I like to think that the real reason is because certain environments are not going to foster or promote growth and positivity for me. I've had experiences in those previous experiences where I've gone back and things were good for a minute. But then after that, it was like, yeah, it still was a bad situation. I put myself back into it for whatever reason, but I didn't need to. Now we are gonna have to continue this conversation. I got one more point. Y'all can give me one more point, please, please, please. It's just one more point because I don't want to leave it on that note. Like, I want to. leave this conversation in a positive way. Because it's been a lot to unpack. I don't know about y'all, but it has been for me, but it's good though. So the next thing and the last and final, don't go back to the broken places, spaces, or people when you have decided that you're on a journey of emotional healing and moving forward. Y'all know how I feel. I don't talk about that. I don't say letting go. Don't let don't just let anything go. Move forward from it. Because again, all of this stuff, everything that I've talked about, it's all tied together. Like I said, when you decide to heal, in order to properly heal, you have to let that which is unhealed within you come to the surface so that you could properly deal with it. When it comes to moving forward in my world and how I advise my clients in my coaching business, moving forward is intentional. Moving forward comes with the commitment of I'm not going to be like Lot's wife. I'm not going to look back at the city that I once knew that is now burning. I have another friend, and what he says is, I'm not going to move forward looking back in my rear view because that that tried to break you, that place, that space, or that individual, if you've been able to start to heal or have healed, or if you've committed to yourself that you're moving forward, they don't matter. The moment they try to break you, they don't matter. But literally in this space, when you heal, it don't matter. Process through what you need to process through. And I'm not trying to downplay anything because some of these traumas, some of these harms that people, places, and spaces that are broken cause or that they leave in their wake, it's significant. Find you again. Whatever the new version of you is going to be, embrace it. Love him or her. Don't chastise, don't criticize. Even if your mind ends up going back, just keep telling your mind, no, we moving forward, baby. We pressing on. And the more you continue to talk to yourself like that and equip yourself with hearing your own language, one thing I like to say to my friends and my clients, say it out loud. You're not gonna move how you need to until you hear yourself put yourself in check. I say it to myself. No, Nicole, that's what we not finna do. When my mind tries to go back or tries to pull me, no, man, remember this, remember that. Like we ain't finna fantasize these good times. We finna look at it and remember it all because it all matters. All roads led to here. Maybe you do need to get into therapy. There ain't nothing wrong with going to therapy. Talking to someone who doesn't know you so you can be able to fully convey what it is that you're feeling? Yeah, do it. Because we feel judged by the people that we have in our lives, the people we feel that really know us. But for some of y'all, y'all maneuvering as a broken person and no one really knows you. Because if people really knew you, they would be able to hold you accountable. But you don't want them to do that because you're not willing to do that yourself. Maybe you need to engage in as a way to promote emotional healing and moving forward and not going back to the broken places, spaces, people. Maybe you need to get into spiritual or meditative practices. Let it come to the surface. Surrender and release it. Give it to whoever needs to have it. Hell, if I could return to sender, some of this foolishness that's been directed my way, like literally pack it up, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, return to sender. I'll pay the postage. I don't care because you can keep all the extra foolishness that comes with what's inside that package. But at the end of the day, in order to emotionally heal and move forward and further solidify your inability to go back to the broken places, spaces, or people, embark on your journey of self discovery and embrace new and healthier dynamics. I promise you, your future self will thank you for it. And sometimes your future self is not, years down the line. Sometimes your future self can be at the end of the week. You know what? I really didn't think about that situation no more. Or maybe it's day to day. You know what? I had that one moment where I did let, my mind kind of go, but then I shook myself out of it and I was able to continue and press forward throughout my day. Turn one day into 2 days, 2 days into 3 days, 3 days into a week into a couple weeks into a month, a couple months into a year. Just keep being intentional about moving forward and practicing your emotional healing so you don't go back to the broken places, spaces, or people that tried to break you for a reason. I hope y'all enjoy this conversation. I know I did. Thank you for allowing me to get this off my chest. I needed it for me. And because of the fact that it's recorded, then I can go back and look at it whenever I need it. So I thank y'all for y'all time tonight. Whoever was knocking at my door, you can send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, or if you're able to. If not, like I said, God bless you. I don't do random stuff like that. But I hope y'all have a good rest of your night. Enjoy your time with yourself. Enjoy your time with your family. Enjoy your time in the bliss and the peace that you have in being able to walk away and navigate beyond that which tried to break you. I love each and every one of y'all. I wish y'all truly, genuine, and deeply a good life filled with real love and all of the above. Until next Sunday, don't forget, next Sunday is y'all can see the smile, the apples is out. Y'all can see the smile on my face. Next Sunday is my birthday edition of the Sunday Sit Down with yours truly, Nicole LaTreece. I don't know, I might get a little fancy for y'all with my attire and stuff, but we gonna see what it's gonna be like. But I am really looking forward to being able to peel back the veil and personally give you like my insights and just like some of the things that have really impacted me in where I am on my journey of sitting in front of you right now. So, like I said, y'all have a good week. And until next time, I'll see you then. Love y'all.